you've sort of mentioned that now with this last ceremony that the mission has launched. And what is that to you?
I think it's ultimately a mission around consciousness, and it has been for a long time with the plants. The plants have a really interesting form of consciousness, and we modern humans believe that consciousness is all separated. And for the people that interact with these plants, there's this kind of continuous understanding in different forms of how people talk about it that hey, it's all connected, right? And so people talk about these fields or these dimensions or this interconnectedness between everything. And I think right now for the world needs more interconnectedness. So
Mm.
there's this polarity that's going on once again. There's these tremendous conflicts that are being created societally. I personally think that society is in a precarious place and that humans are not understanding the power that they have over each other and the world itself, and that it's very important that we ascend into a higher level of consciousness, not only individually but also collectively as a species. And so to me the mission is about how plants and plant medicines ultimately interact with us and how we have a much more advanced relationship with them, how we advance our own understanding so that we can have communication and a language that we can use to describe these experiences in a way that we can really understand each other, like how math allows us to all understand arithmetic or multiplication or something like that. We need to develop this language that's associated with these psychedelic experiences, these visionary experiences, and these also great expansions of consciousness. And I think that that's a differentiator that isn't highlighted enough, that there's a difference between expanding consciousness and just having a trip. And there's a difference between expanding consciousness and going and getting healing. And there's a difference between healing physical ailments and healing mental and emotional ailments. And there's a difference between healing mental illness and healing traumas that we've been through. And that as we learn how to talk about this in a more open way, and we also learn how to develop a language around this, that the mission for me really is about supporting our own individual and collective consciousness in an expansion that's positive for each individual that's part of it, and ultimately people in general. And I would love to think that it could have an impact that would be positive for the world beyond that of just humans, and that we would see us really embrace this relationship that we have with nature, become stewards of nature, really embrace the natural world and the technological. I don't see them as being separate. I think all the medicines ultimately came out of nature. So much of our technology is based on the architecture of nature. And I just love this idea of having all of this positivity from our technological advancements and our advanced civilizations. But I think they can just grow so much more. And so I think that one of the ways that this is going to happen is in this massive expanded creativity, massive expanded innovative mind that can come through plant medicines and psychedelic experiences. And I think as we gain this intention, the mission is to really bring intentionality to that, to transcend the thought and the categorization that these are drugs that are negative or have a negative impact on people, but rather that these are medicines that can be used responsibly, or these are ways to enhance consciousness that can be used responsibly, or techniques to enhance consciousness that can be also used responsibly, and that it can be actually very positive for society and very positive individually, but to understand that that comes with tremendous responsibility, and it comes with also a tremendous need to be able to understand each other as we start to explore this more. And so I think the mission is really about awakening consciousness and supporting everybody who's part of that mission as well. Ultimately, this is an idea that is about growing consciousness, not expanding the kinds of consciousness that we already have. And right now there's plenty of war. And so this is in no way about any kind of conflict or belonging in some way that isolates us from the rest of sort of our communities and societies as they are. I really look at this as that idea of being in part of the plant medicine space is really about finding harmony and peace with each other. And so I'd like to think that we can transcend the concepts of war and disagreement really quickly. And part of what we can show people is that we can understand each other as community, we can communicate as community, and we can really support each other. And I think that that's the fastest way to grow. That's what the forest showed me, is that the forest really supports fundamentally the growth of the entire biosphere. And so as we embrace the biosphere together and we embrace what we are as natural elements of that, then I think we're going to have an opportunity to be able to grow very fast. And if you resonate with this and you understand that part of your life mission is also the expansion of consciousness and the exploration of consciousness, then, we're all in this together, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, even in talking to like my mom about my experience, my mom actually, on some level, like gets it.
Well, first, it's awesome to have the support of your mom, and have her start to get it. I get the fears. People ask me that all the time, like, what did your parents think about what you were doing? And I said, they supported me. Like, they
Mm.
understood that I was doing something that was fundamentally important. And, everyone else goes straight to the fears and dangers. And it's like, well, we've been taught how to navigate these spaces. And yes, you can ultimately read, tales of things happening all over the world, even in our own communities that are harrowing scenarios, and we have to learn how to navigate all of that. And so, coming down to the Amazon is ultimately flying in jets into the cities that have jet runways, and then it's a well-trodden path now about how to get around. And obviously go to places that are safe and that
Yeah.
they're supportive of having foreigners there. There are a lot of places that aren't, and so there isn't a reason to go there, obviously. And
Mm.
it's just an unbelievably big place. And then this idea of you sharing energetically with people what's going on is more powerful than words, right? The chants in ceremony communicate more to people than the words do. And the whistles in
Mhm.
ceremony carry typically a frequency that, really you can't even get out of or away from. It's like, it's so present and there. And so I think that you're really, one, your consciousness is clearly expanded, but two, you're also communicating energetically and the emotion of it in a way that other people can understand. And I think you're talking about things that are now truly universal to them as well. Like,
Mm.
people can see this unlock in you. People want to be unlocked, right? If you're locked up, it's not a really positive state to be in. And
No.
no, and people want it. And so the ability to communicate this with less words, I actually think is better, because it takes out of the space room for confusion, and it opens a space for people to have more imagination about the vibe and the energy that you're communicating. And then sharing that as a state of consciousness is fundamentally what we're doing in the sessions themselves. That is the ceremonial consciousness. And I think it'll ultimately be even a better way. So that's awesome.
Mm.
Love to hear all of those things.